Today, we're going to talk about something tough but really, really important. We're looking at a story that brings a painful and often hidden reality to light, all captured in this title, Silent Scars: The Stigma of Male Victimhood.
Just take a second and let those words sink in. Dismissed, laughed at, or blamed. I mean, these aren't just words, are they? They are walls. For so many male victims, this is the response they get when they cry for help. And it's exactly where this terrible journey into silence begins.
So, the way we're going to explore this is through the themes of a novel also called Silent Scars. It's a piece of fiction, sure, but it uses a powerful story to shine a huge spotlight on a very real social issue, the incredibly difficult and unique challenges men face when they're victims of abuse. All right, so our story starts right here, with what is almost always the hardest part of any journey like this, just finding the courage to speak up. And let's be clear, this isn't just about telling a story. It's about shattering a profound and heavy silence.
Now, before we get any deeper, we have to understand the main villain of this story, and that's social stigma. It sounds kind of academic, right? But really, it's just this powerful, invisible force of disapproval. It's like these unwritten rules in society that single someone out and judge them. It's the wall that every victim has to think about climbing before they even say a word. So where does that wall first pop up? Well, we're calling it the social wall. Because, and this is the heartbreaking part, often the first barrier you hit isn't some stranger or a faceless institution, it's the people you trust the most. In our story, the main character does what any of us would do. The very first thing. He goes to his friends, his inner circle. He's expecting a hand on his shoulder, some empathy, some support. And this is what he gets. Not support, not even concern. He gets laughed at. That laughter, that mockery, it's like the first brick being laid in this massive wall of silence. A brutal, shocking rejection from the people who were supposed to have his back. Okay, so his friends failed him. What's next? Logically, you turn to the systems that are actually designed to protect people. But what happens when those systems fail too? Well, that's what we call the system's dismissal. So, his next step makes perfect sense. He goes for official help. He walks into a police station, and he's not just looking for a sympathetic ear anymore. He's looking for justice, for protection, the kind the law is supposed to provide. And instead of justice, he gets nothing. He's dismissed, brushed off. His story isn't treated as credible. The very institution that's meant to protect him basically tells him to go away, making him feel like his experience didn't even happen. At this point, you can imagine he's feeling pretty lost. He's running out of options. So he seeks professional help from a therapist. This is supposed to be the one safe space, right? The last resort where someone is literally trained to listen, to understand, and to help you start healing. And here it is. The ultimate betrayal. He's blamed. In the one room where he should have found unconditional support, he's somehow made to feel like it was his fault. That final door, the one that said healing on it, just got slammed right in his face. I mean, just look at this contrast. It lays out the devastating gap between what was needed and what was given. On one side, you have the absolute basics any victim needs: support, belief, help. But the reality for our protagonist was the total opposite: mockery, dismissal, and blame. His needs weren't just ignored, they were turned completely upside down. And all of this leads to what the book calls the cycle of silence. You can see how it works. It starts with a huge act of courage, speaking up. But that courage runs smack into the social wall of mockery. Then it hits the systemic wall of dismissal, and finally the professional wall of blame. Each rejection just builds on the last one, and it makes that final step, enforced silence, feel pretty much inevitable. So this brings us to the end of this journey, to the final haunting part of the story, the scars of silence. This is the ultimate lasting price of going through that cycle of rejection and stigma. I mean, really think about it. Put yourself in his shoes. You've been laughed at by your friends, turned away by the law, and then blamed by a therapist. What else is there to do? When every single door you try to open gets shut, the only choice that seems left is to just stop talking. And that right there is the core idea of the novel. The pain, the trauma. It doesn't just evaporate because you don't talk about it. No way. It turns inward. It calcifies. It becomes a silent scar, an invisible wound that you're forced to carry, all alone, hidden from a world that refused to even look at it.
So we're left with this really big question. If society, through mockery from friends, dismissal from institutions, and blame from professionals, is what actually creates these scars, then what is society's role in helping them heal? It's something to think about.